The cracks spread across my phone screen like a spider's web, each fracture catching the afternoon light streaming through our kitchen window. I stared at the shattered device on the ceramic tiles, my 15-year-old daughter Emma standing over it with her chest heaving, tears streaming down her flushed cheeks. "I hate you," she screamed, her voice breaking. "You never listen. You're always on that stupid phone." I knelt to pick up the pieces, my hands shaking. The phone had been more than just a device to me. It was my lifeline to work, to friends, to a world that had grown increasingly distant since my wife Sarah died 2 years ago. Emma didn't understand. How could she? At 15, she couldn't grasp the weight of keeping our lives together, of managing insurance claims, medical bills, and the endless responsibilities that came with single parenthood. "Emma, this was expensive." "I don't care." She spun around, her dark hair whipping across her face. Mom would have listened to me. Mom would have cared. The words hit me like a physical blow. I'd heard variations of this accusation countless times over the past 2 years, but it never got easier. Sarah had been the perfect mother patient, attentive, always knowing exactly what to say. I was just trying to survive. "Sweetheart, I do care. I was just finishing an important email from work. It's always work." Emma's voice dropped to a whisper more devastating than her screams. "You're here, but you're not really here. Sometimes I feel like I lost both parents that day." She turned and ran upstairs, her bedroom door slamming with enough force to rattle the picture frames on the hallway wall. I stood alone in the kitchen, surrounded by the fragments of my phone and the echoes of my daughter's pain. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Emma's words replaying in my mind. "Sometimes I feel like I lost both parents that day." The truth in her statement was unbearable. I had been present in body, but absent in spirit, drowning my grief in work and digital distractions, while my daughter needed me most. I must have finally drifted off around 3 in the morning, because I remember having the strangest dream. I was standing in our old house, the one we'd lived in, before Sarah got sick, before everything changed. Sarah was there looking exactly as she had on our wedding day, radiant and full of life. "You're losing her, David," she said, her voice carrying that gentle authority I'd fallen in love with. "Emma needs her father, not a ghost." "I don't know how to be what she needs," I confessed. "Everything I do is wrong." Sarah smiled, reaching out to touch my face. "Remember when Emma was 5 and broke your favorite coffee mug? You didn't get angry. You sat with her and helped her glue it back together, even though it would never be perfect again. That was different. That was just a mug." "No, David, that was love. That was being present." Her image began to fade. "Some things are worth more than being perfect. Some things are worth more than being busy." I woke with a start, Sarah's words echoing in my mind. The house was eerily quiet. Too quiet. I glanced at my alarm clock, 7:30 a.m. Emma should have been getting ready for school. I knocked on her door. No answer. I knocked again, then slowly opened it. Her bed was made, but Emma was nowhere to be seen. Her backpack was gone, and when I checked her dresser, several outfits were missing. On her pillow was a note written in her careful handwriting. "Dad, I'm going to stay with Aunt Lisa for a while. I called her last night after our fight. She said I could come any time. I can't live like this anymore, with you being physically here, but emotionally somewhere else. Maybe when you figure out how to be a dad, instead of just a person who lives in the same house as me, we can try again. I love you, but I need to love myself too. Emma P.S. I'm not running away. I'm just running to somewhere I feel wanted. The note fluttered from my trembling hands. Lisa was Sarah's sister living 3 states away in Colorado. Emma must have taken the early bus to the airport. She had her own debit card and enough saved from babysitting jobs to buy a ticket. I called Lisa immediately, my heart pounding. "David." Lisa's voice was cautious. "Emma called me around midnight. She's safe. Her flight lands here at noon." "Lisa, you can't just— She's 15. You should have called me." "I tried calling you, David, multiple times. It went straight to voicemail." I remembered my broken phone, the fragment still sitting in a plastic bag on my kitchen counter. Emma was sobbing, begging me to let her come. She said you two had a terrible fight, and she felt like she was invisible in her own home. The accusation in Lisa's voice was clear. I sank into a chair, the weight of my failures crushing down on me. "How long has she been planning this?" I asked. "She's been talking about it for months, David. Every time we video chat, she seems a little more lost, a little more lonely. I kept hoping you two would work things out, but—" Lisa's voice softened. "Sarah made me promise to look after Emma if anything happened to her. I think this is what she meant." After the call, I sat in Emma's empty room, really looking at it for the first time in months. Her walls were covered with photos, mostly of her and Sarah, a few of our family, from happier times, and several of her with friends I didn't recognize. When had she made new friends? When had she changed her room around? How many conversations had we had in the past month that went deeper than "How was school?" and "What do you want for dinner?" I found her journal partially hidden under her mattress, not snooping, just looking for clues about where her headspace had been. The last entry was dated the day before our fight. "Dad worked late again tonight. I made dinner for myself and left his plate in the fridge. He thanked me, but didn't ask how my history test went. I got an A, or why I seemed upset. Jake Morrison asked Stephanie to homecoming instead of me. I know he's sad about Mom, and I know he's trying to take care of us, but sometimes I feel like I'm just another item on his to-do list. Feed Emma. Check. Help with homework. Check. Ask how her day was. Check. But he doesn't really want to hear the answers. I miss Mom so much, but I think I miss Dad too, even though he's right here." The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. I had been so focused on providing for Emma, on maintaining our life, that I'd forgotten how to actually live it with her. I called my boss and took emergency leave. Then I drove to the airport and bought a ticket to Colorado. The flight gave me 3 hours to think about Sarah's dream message. Some things are worth more than being perfect. Some things are worth more than being busy. I thought about that broken coffee mug Emma had mentioned. She'd been trying to help me in the kitchen and accidentally knocked it off the counter. It had been my father's mug, one of the few things I had left of him. But instead of getting angry, I'd seen how devastated Emma was, and my parental instincts had kicked in. We'd spent the afternoon carefully gluing each piece back together, talking about how sometimes broken things could be even more beautiful because of their scars. When had I stopped responding with that kind of patience and presence? Lisa lived in a cozy mountain town outside Denver. When I knocked on her door, Emma answered. Her eyes were red from crying, and for a moment we just stared at each other. "You came," she said quietly. "Of course I came. You're my daughter. I mean, you came instead of just calling or texting me to come home." The distinction hit me hard. Even in pursuing her, I could have chosen the distant digital route. Lisa appeared behind Emma, giving me a look that was part sympathy, part challenge. Emma, why don't you show your dad the trail behind the house? You two need to talk. The trail wound through aspens and evergreens, the late afternoon sun filtering through golden leaves. We walked in silence for several minutes before Emma finally spoke. I didn't leave to hurt you, Dad. I know. I left because I was disappearing and I didn't think you'd noticed. I stopped walking, the truth of her words settling over me like a heavy blanket. You're right. I did stop seeing you. After Mom died, I was so afraid of doing everything wrong that I stopped doing anything right. Emma sat on a fallen log, picking at the bark. I know you miss her. I miss her too. But I need you to miss me when I'm right there with you. I do miss you. That's the crazy part. I've been missing you, even while you were sitting at the dinner table with me. I sat beside her close enough to smell her shampoo, the same brand Sarah used to use. I got so lost in trying to be responsible that I forgot how to be your dad. Mom always said you were the fun parent. You used to make up bedtime stories and take me on adventures to find the perfect ice cream flavor. Emma smiled through her tears. Remember when we drove to 17 different ice cream shops in one day? I laughed despite everything, and you decided vanilla was still your favorite. But it wasn't about the ice cream. It was about the adventure with you. We sat quietly as the sun began to set, painting the mountains in shades of pink and orange. I broke your phone because I wanted to break through to you, Emma said. It was like there was this invisible wall between us, and your phone was just the symbol of it, I guess. You did break through, more than you know. So, what happens now? Are you going to drag me home and ground me for running away? I considered this. Well, you're not technically grounded because you didn't technically run away. You went to family. But Emma, we can't solve our problems by running to different states. I know. I needed you to chase me. I needed to know you'd choose me over your emails and work calls and all the stuff that seemed more important than me. Nothing is more important than you. I lost sight of that. But you are the most important thing in my world. That evening, Lisa cooked dinner, while Emma and I talked more openly than we had in 2 years. We talked about Sarah, about grief, about how we'd both been trying to protect each other by not fully sharing our pain. Emma told me about school, about the boy who'd hurt her feelings, about her friends, and her fears, and her dreams. I want to apply to colleges with good photography programs, she said, showing me pictures on Lisa's tablet. Mom always said I had an eye for it. I looked at her photos, really looked at them. They were beautiful, full of emotion and perspective I hadn't known she possessed. These are incredible, Em. When did you get so talented? I've been taking photography class for 2 years, Dad. I've mentioned it probably 50 times. The admission stung, but I accepted it. Tell me about it now. Tell me everything. She did. For hours we sat on Lisa's porch, and Emma told me about her passion for capturing moments, for finding beauty in unexpected places, for telling stories through images. I listened, really listened, without checking a phone or thinking about work or planning what I needed to do tomorrow. The next morning, instead of flying straight home, I rented a car. Where are we going? Emma asked as we loaded our bags. Road trip, just like we used to do with Mom. We're going to drive home, and we're going to stop at every weird roadside attraction, every interesting photo opportunity, and every ice cream shop that catches your eye. Emma's smile was brighter than the Colorado sun. Really, really. I figure if I'm going to disappear from work for a few days, I might as well disappear with you. We spent 4 days driving home, taking the scenic route through Utah and Nevada. Emma photographed everything: giant thermometers, dinosaur statues, desert sunsets, and roadside diners with neon signs. I bought her a professional camera at a shop in Salt Lake City and watched her face light up as she held it for the first time. "This is too expensive, Dad." "Some things are worth more than money," I said, echoing Sarah's dream words. "Besides, every artist needs proper tools." On our last night on the road, staying in a small motel in Nevada, Emma curled up next to me as we looked through the photos she'd taken. "Dad." "Yeah." "I'm sorry I broke your phone." "I'm not. Best thing that could have happened to me." "Really?" "Really. It broke something else too. This wall I'd built around myself. I thought I was protecting us both, but I was just isolating us." Emma was quiet for a moment. "I was scared you'd be mad that I left. I was scared too. Scared that I'd lost you forever. Scared that I'd failed you, the way I thought I'd failed Mom." "You didn't fail Mom, Dad. She loved you so much. She used to tell me that you were the strongest person she knew because you felt everything so deeply." I felt tears prick my eyes. She said that all the time. She said that after she was gone, your big heart might make you want to hide from the world, but that I should never let you disappear completely. Emma looked up at me. "I think that's why I had to leave, to bring you back." When we finally arrived home, the house felt different, warmer, more alive. I'd arranged with my boss to work from home more often, and Emma and I established new routines. Dinner became a time for actual conversation. I started driving her to school sometimes just to have those extra 15 minutes together. She taught me about photography, and I taught her some of the guitar songs I'd played for Sarah when we were dating. 6 months later, Emma won a statewide photography competition with a series called Finding Dad. The photos chronicled our road trip home, but more than that, they captured the journey of two people learning to see each other again. At the award ceremony, as I watched my daughter accept her trophy, I felt Sarah's presence so strongly, it took my breath away. Emma caught my eye from the stage and smiled, not the careful, distant smile she'd given me for 2 years, but the radiant, unguarded smile I remembered from when she was little. Later that night, as we celebrated with ice cream, Vanilla Still, her favorite, Emma handed me a gift. "What's this for?" I asked, unwrapping a small package. "For Father's Day. I know it's not for another month, but I couldn't wait." Inside was a coffee mug she'd made in art class, deliberately imperfect, with cracks that had been filled with gold in the Japanese tradition of kintsugi, the art of golden repair. "It's supposed to represent how things can be more beautiful after they're broken," she explained. "Like us." I held the mug carefully, thinking about how sometimes the most important things in life require us to break apart a little before we can rebuild stronger. My phone still has a cracked screen. I never got it fixed. It serves as a daily reminder that some interruptions are exactly what we need. Emma and I still have our difficult days. Grief doesn't disappear, and parenting a teenager is never simple. But we face those challenges together, now present and accounted for in each other's lives. And every morning, I drink my coffee from that perfectly imperfect mug, grateful for a daughter who loved me enough to break something precious so we could rebuild something even more valuable Our relationship stronger in the broken places, golden where it counts. Sometimes, disappearing is exactly what you need to do to find your way back home. Part 2. The Return. 3 years had passed since that transformative road trip, and Emma was now 18, preparing for her senior year of high school. The photography award had opened doors I never could have imagined. She'd been featured in local galleries, had her work published in several magazines, and received scholarship offers from prestigious art schools across the country. But success, I was learning, brought its own challenges. "Dad, we need to talk," Emma said one evening, setting down her acceptance letter from the Rhode Island School of Design. Her dream school, full scholarship. I looked up from my laptop. Old habits die hard, but now I immediately closed it when she wanted to talk. "What's on your mind?" "I'm scared," she admitted, curling up in the chair across from me. "What if I'm not ready? What if I can't handle being so far from home?" It was a conversation I'd been dreading and anticipating in equal measure. After working so hard to rebuild our relationship, the thought of Emma leaving felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. "Tell me what scares you most," I said, choosing my words carefully. "What if something happens to you while I'm gone? After Mom?" She couldn't finish the sentence, but I understood. The fear of losing another parent, of being alone in the world, was something we'd never fully addressed. "Emma, look at me." I waited until her eyes met mine. "I'm not going anywhere. And even if something did happen, which it won't, you're not that scared 15-year-old anymore. You're strong, talented, and you have people who love you everywhere. But what if I forget Mom's voice? What if I get so caught up in my new life that I lose the memories?" This fear I understood intimately. "Come with me," I said, standing up. I led her to my bedroom and opened the closet, reaching for a box I hadn't touched in months. Inside were dozens of voice messages Sarah had left on my old phone. Messages I'd had converted to audio files before the phone finally died completely. "Your mom left me voicemails almost every day, even when we lived in the same house," I said, scrolling through the files. "Listen." I played one from just a month before Sarah got sick. "David, I know you're in a meeting, but Emma just told me the funniest story about her chemistry teacher, and I had to share it with someone. She's growing up so fast, and she's so much like you, curious about everything, stubborn when she believes in something, and completely incapable of pretending to be someone she's not. I hope she never loses that. Anyway, love you. See you tonight." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know you had these. There are hundreds. Your mom documenting our daily lives, telling me about conversations with you, sharing her thoughts about everything from what to plant in the garden to her hopes for your future." I handed her my phone. "They're yours now. All of them." She scrolled through the messages, her face cycling through emotions. "Dad, this is incredible. It's like having her back. She never really left, Em. She's in your photographs, in the way you see beauty, in broken things, in your kindness and your strength. Taking her memory to Rhode Island isn't losing her. It's sharing her with the world." That night, we stayed up until 3 a.m., listening to Sarah's messages. Some were mundane reminders about grocery shopping or school events. Others were profound. Her thoughts about love-lost dreams and the kind of person she hoped Emma would become. But it was one particular message dated just 2 weeks before Sarah's diagnosis that changed everything. "David, I had the strangest dream last night. I dreamed that Emma was all grown up, living in some beautiful city filled with artists and dreamers. She was successful and happy, but more importantly, she was brave. She was taking risks, following her passion, making the world more beautiful, one photograph at a time. And you were so proud of her, even though she was far away, because you taught her that love doesn't diminish. With distance, it just changes form. I woke up feeling so peaceful, like I'd seen a glimpse of our future. I hope I'm around to see it, but if I'm not, I want you both to remember this dream. Sometimes the people we love most need to fly far away to discover how strong their wings really are. Emma was crying openly now, and so was I. She knew, Emma whispered. Somehow she knew. Your mom always was a little bit psychic when it came to you, I said, remembering Sarah's uncanny ability to predict Emma's needs before Emma even knew them herself. The next morning, Emma made her decision. She called RISD and accepted their offer. The summer before she left became a deliberate season of memory-making. We took another road trip, this time to the East Coast, scouting out her new city and creating new traditions we could maintain across the miles. Emma documented everything, but now her photography had evolved less about capturing the moment and more about capturing the feeling. I want to create a photo series about transitions, she told me as we walked through Providence, exploring her soon-to-be neighborhood. About how we carry the people we love with us, even when we're apart. What would you call it? Golden threads, she said without hesitation. Like the kintsugi technique. But instead of gold filling the cracks, it's the connections between people. The invisible threads that keep us bound together even across distances. The week before Emma left for college, she surprised me with an exhibition at our local community center. Golden Threads, a love letter to family. Featured photographs from our road trips, quiet moments at home, and portraits of me that I hadn't even realized she was taking. But the centerpiece was a large photograph of the kintsugi mug she'd made me, filled with coffee and sitting on the kitchen table where we'd shared thousands of conversations. The lighting made the golden veins glow like actual threads, and superimposed over the image, barely visible unless you looked closely, were waveform patterns, the visual representation of Sarah's voice messages. How did you do this? I asked, staring at the piece in amazement. I've been learning audio visualization software. Those are Mom's words, Dad. Her voice is literally woven into the image. Emma stood beside me, both of us studying her creation. I wanted to show how the things that break us can also connect us, and how love leaves traces in everything it touches. The exhibition was packed. Lisa flew in from Colorado, along with several of Sarah's old friends and co-workers. Emma's teachers, classmates, and even some strangers who'd heard about the show came to see her work. But the moment that mattered most came when Mrs. Henderson, Emma's high school photography teacher, pulled me aside. I've been teaching for 30 years, she said, and I've never seen a student whose technical skill was so perfectly matched with emotional intelligence. Emma doesn't just take pictures. She tells stories that change how people see the world. She gets that from her mother, I said automatically. No, David. She gets the storytelling from Sarah, but she gets the courage to share those stories from you. Do you remember what you told her when she was afraid her photos weren't good enough for the state competition? I thought back. I told her that the only way to fail was to not try at all. And do you remember what you did when she wanted to quit photography altogether after a harsh critique from a visiting artist? I helped her submit her work to 3 different galleries that week. Mrs. Henderson smiled. You taught her that setbacks are just setups for comebacks. That's not Sarah's gift, that's yours. Emma has both of your strengths now, and that's what's going to make her extraordinary. On Emma's last night at home, we sat on the front porch with 2 cups of coffee, mine in the kintsugi mug, hers in a new one she'd made to match. "I have something for you," she said, handing me a wrapped package. Inside was a photo album, but not just any album. Each page contained a photograph paired with a QR code. When I scanned the first code with my phone, Sarah's voice filled the air, one of her messages about watching Emma learn to ride a bike. "I've matched every major photo with one of Mom's voice messages," Emma explained, "so you'll have both the visual memory and her voice to go with it. And I've left blank pages at the back." "For what?" "For the new memories we're going to make. Just because I'm leaving doesn't mean our story stops. It just changes chapters." The next morning, I drove Emma to the airport. We'd said our goodbyes at home, so the car ride was comfortable silence, both of us lost in our thoughts. As we pulled up to the departure terminal, Emma turned to me. "Dad, I need you to promise me something." "Anything." "Promise me you won't disappear again. I know it's going to be quiet at home, and I know you're going to miss me, but promise me you'll stay present in your own life." The request caught me off guard. "What do you mean?" "I mean, make friends. Date someone if you want to. Take that photography class you mentioned. Travel. Live your life fully, not just maintain it." She squeezed my hand. "I spent 2 years watching you exist, but not really live. I don't want to spend the next 4 years worrying that you're doing it again." "I promise," I said, and meant it. "And Dad, call me. Not just text, actually call. I want to hear your voice, not just read your words. Every Sunday," I promised. "And Dad, yeah. Thank you for chasing me. 3 years ago, when I ran away, thank you for not just letting me go. Thank you for running far enough to make me realize I needed to follow." As I watched Emma disappear into the terminal, I felt something I hadn't expected: excitement. Not just for her adventure, but for my own. For the first time since Sarah's death, I was looking forward instead of just looking back. That evening, I sat in our quiet house and opened the photo album Emma had made. But instead of feeling lonely, I felt connected to Sarah through her voice, to Emma through her art, and to myself through the realization that love doesn't end when people leave. It just transforms. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts, stopping at a name I hadn't called in years. Marcus, my college roommate who'd moved to the city an hour away. Before I could second-guess myself, I pressed call. "David Mann. It's been forever. How are you?" "I'm good, Marcus. Really good. Listen, are you free for dinner this weekend? I have some stories to tell you, and I think it's time I started making some new ones." As we made plans, I realized that Emma was right. Our story wasn't ending. It was just beginning a new chapter. And for the first time in years, I couldn't wait to see what happened next. The golden threads that connected us were strong enough to stretch across any distance, flexible enough to accommodate any change, and beautiful enough to make even the breaking worthwhile. Epilogue. 5 years later, I'm standing in a gallery in Manhattan, wearing my best suit and holding a glass of champagne. I'm too nervous to drink. The walls are covered with Emma's photographs, her first solo exhibition in New York City. The series is called Invisible Threads, A Decade of Connection, and it chronicles our journey from that broken phone on the kitchen floor to this moment. Dad stopped fidgeting. Emma laughs, appearing at my side in an elegant black dress that makes her look impossibly grown up. At 23, she's become the artist Sarah always knew she would be. But more than that, she's become a woman who understands the profound beauty in life's imperfect moments. I can't help it, I admit. I'm so proud of you, I might actually burst. She takes my arm as we walk through her exhibition together. There's the photo of our first road trip, me looking haggard and lost in a diner booth while Emma sleeps against my shoulder. There's the image of her broken phone, each crack catching the light like a constellation. There's the kintsugi mug, now famous among her collectors, representing the art of beautiful repair. But the centerpiece of the exhibition is something new, a massive installation she calls The Conversation Continues. It's a room-sized photograph of our kitchen table, but when visitors step closer, they trigger motion sensors that play fragments of recorded phone calls. Our Sunday conversations from the past 5 years mixed with Sarah's old voicemails, creating a symphony of connection across time and space. How did you record our calls without me knowing? I ask, both amazed and slightly concerned about privacy. I didn't. You gave me permission every time. She grins mischievously. Remember how you always end our calls with, "Save this one for the archives, I took you literally." I laugh, remembering the running joke we'd developed, but as I listen to fragments of our conversations floating through the air, discussions about her college classes, my tentative steps back into dating, her graduate school decisions, my own photography adventures, I realize it's not a joke at all. It's a legacy. Emma Chen Morrison. A voice calls out, and we turn to see a woman in an expensive suit approaching with a recording device. I'm Janet Walsh from Art Today magazine. Could I ask you a few questions about the exhibition? I start to step away to give them privacy, but Emma catches my hand. Actually, I'd love my father to be part of this interview. The work is as much about him as it is about me. For the next 20 minutes, we talk about art, family loss, and healing. The journalist is particularly interested in the technical aspects of the audio installation, but Emma keeps steering the conversation back to the emotional core. The technology is just the vehicle, Emma explains. The real art is in the decision to stay connected, to keep showing up for each other, even when it's difficult or inconvenient or scary. And Mr. Morrison, the journalist turns to me. How does it feel to be the subject of your daughter's art? I think about this carefully. Honestly, it's taught me that we're all works of art in progress. Emma doesn't just photograph moments. She photographs the spaces between moments, the love that exists in ordinary conversations, the way relationships evolve and deepen over time. After the journalist leaves, Emma and I find ourselves standing in front of the final photograph in the series. It was taken just last month when I visited her in Providence. We're sitting on her apartment balcony, both of us older. Both of us changed, but unmistakably connected. She's showing me something on her laptop plans for this very exhibition, and I'm leaning in, completely present, completely engaged. Do you remember what you were thinking when I took this? She asks. I was thinking about how different we both look from that day you broke my phone, but also how the important things haven't changed at all. What important things? How much I love you. How proud I am of who you've become. How grateful I am that you saved us both by being brave enough to break something that needed breaking. Emma wipes her eyes, careful not to smudge her makeup. Speaking of breaking things, she reaches into her purse and pulls out a small wrapped box. I have something for you. Inside is a phone case handmade, embedded with gold veins in the kintsugi style. For your new phone, she explains. So even if it breaks, it'll be beautiful. I hug her, then right there in the middle of her fancy New York gallery, not caring who's watching. I love you, kiddo. I love you too, Dad. Later that evening, after the gallery closes and the crowds disperse, Emma and I walk through Central Park. It's late spring, and the cherry blossoms are in full bloom, Sarah's favorite time of year. Dad, Emma says as we sit on a bench near the reservoir, I have some news. My heart skips. Good news or bad news? Good news. Great news, actually. She takes a deep breath. I've been offered a position documenting refugee families for the UN. It's a 2-year assignment, mostly in Europe and Southeast Asia. I feel a familiar flutter of panic, my daughter traveling the world alone, far from my protection. But then I remember the promise I made 5 years ago to stay present in my own life, to trust in the strength we'd built together. That's incredible, Em. When do you start? In 3 months. But Dad, there's more. She turns to face me fully. I want you to come with me. Not for the whole assignment, but for parts of it. I want to teach you more about photography, and I want us to document this next chapter together. Are you sure won't I be in the way? Dad, you're never in the way. You're part of the story. She pulls out her phone and shows me a photo she took earlier that evening, me standing in front of her exhibition, tears in my eyes, looking proud and overwhelmed, and completely present. Look at yourself. You're not the same man who was lost in his phone 5 years ago. You're not even the same man who drove me to the airport 3 years ago. You've become someone who lives fully in each moment. She's right. Over the past 5 years, I have changed. I've taken that photography class Emma suggested. I've traveled first tentatively, then with growing confidence. I've even started dating again, finding love with a kind woman named Catherine who understands that honoring Sarah's memory doesn't mean living in the past. What about Catherine? I ask. She thinks it's a wonderful opportunity. She said, and I quote, "That man spent too many years afraid to take up space in the world. It's time he learned how much room his heart actually has." I laugh, recognizing Catherine's direct but loving way of speaking. She said that. Plus, she wants to come visit us in Paris next Christmas. As we sit in the gathering dusk, surrounded by the sounds of the city, and the soft light filtering through the cherry blossoms, I think about the journey that brought us here. From a broken phone to a gallery exhibition, from a daughter who felt invisible to a young woman changing the world through her art, from a father who had disappeared into his grief to a man ready for new adventures. I have one condition, I say finally. What's that? We call your mother every Sunday, even if we're in different time zones. I want her voice to be part of this adventure too. Emma smiles that radiant, unguarded smile that has been my North Star for 23 years. Deal. 6 months later, I'm sitting in a small cafe in Prague editing photos on my laptop, while Emma interviews a Syrian family for her UN project. My own photography has evolved beyond my wildest dreams, not to Emma's professional level, but to something deeply personal and meaningful. I'm documenting the small moments that make up a life, the way morning light falls across unfamiliar streets, the expressions on people's faces when they first see their new home country, the hands of elderly couples who've been together for 50 years. My phone buzzes with a text from Catherine House Prague. Send photos. I smile and send her a picture Emma took of me yesterday, standing on the Charles Bridge, with my camera looking confident and purposeful. Catherine texts back immediately. Look at you, world traveler. Sarah would be so proud. And she's right. Somehow, I know Sarah would be proud not just of Emma's success, but of the man I've become in the process of learning to be her father. It took a broken phone and a runaway daughter to teach me that presence is a choice we make every day, that love is an action verb, and that the most beautiful things in life often come from the places where we've been broken and rebuilt. That evening, Emma and I video call Catherine and Lisa from our hotel room, showing them our photos and sharing stories from the road. As I watch Emma laugh at something Catherine says, as I see the easy affection between them, I realize we've built something even more beautiful than the family we lost. We've built a family that spans continents and time zones, connected not by proximity, but by choice, by love, by the golden threads that bind hearts together. Later, as Emma edits photos and I write in the journal I've started keeping, I think about the last entry I made. Today I watched Emma photograph a grandmother, teaching her granddaughter to braid challah bread. 3 generations, 3 languages, 1 unbroken chain of love. Emma caught the moment when the little girl's eyes lit up with understanding when tradition passed from one pair of hands to another. I thought about Sarah, about how she would have loved this scene, and I realized that this is what she meant in that dream message all those years ago. Some things are worth more than being perfect. Some things are worth more than being busy. Love is the golden thread that runs through everything, even when we can't see it, even when it seems broken, even when we have to travel halfway around the world to understand it. Emma was right to break that phone. Sometimes you have to break something to discover what's truly unbreakable. I close the journal and look over at my daughter bent over her laptop, her face illuminated by the screen's glow. But this time, the technology isn't creating distance between us. It's helping her share our story with the world. Dad, she says without looking up, thank you. For what? For chasing me when I ran, for staying when I came back, for becoming the dad I always knew you could be. I get up and kiss the top of her head, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, different now, but still achingly familiar. Thank you for teaching me that some things are worth breaking for, and that the most beautiful repairs are the ones where you can still see the cracks. Outside our hotel window, Prague glitters in the darkness, full of stories waiting to be told. Tomorrow, we'll capture some of those stories. Tonight, we're creating our own. And somewhere in the space between memory and hope, I swear I can hear Sarah's voice in the distance, laughing with delight at the life we've built from the pieces of the one we lost. The golden threads are holding strong,